found this interesting guitar profile, thought I would trace it out and engrave it with the CO2 laser. Shown here, I'm using Logic Trace to digitize the diagram. By selecting the 4 points on the diagram, this will define my workspace and show it on Logic Trace display. You can see here the diagram takes up the full size of the drawing board. This board is 24 by 36. I'll be using all the different commands for tracing, but I'm going to start off with the arc command. Then I selected curve fit, and then I selected trace. You will also notice I'm using a colored pencil. I use a red pencil to mark off where I start tracing. Right after the trace command, I selected the line command because there's that straight stretch on the guitar. I pretty well use all the 4 commands when I'm tracing. Once I get into some of the irregular shapes, I'll select the trace command. I use the trace command a lot because in this project there's a lot of irregular shapes. What I'm doing here is I'm tracing out the full perimeter of the guitar, right from where I marked off that red pencil right around to the other side. Here I'm into the curve fit to go around that large round part. Selecting curve fit makes a quick trace around a curve like that. Now that I finished tracing out the perimeter of the guitar, we'll be starting on some of the internal parts. The internal parts is a lot of straight lines, so I'll just be using the line command, which makes it very quick and simple. Most of the time with that line command, you're just touching 4 points. I also wanted to mention, as I'm tracing, I save my work frequently. When you save your work, the program saves a second copy. I call that the work copy. What's nice about this is if you want to take a break or continue tracing the next day, you can load that work copy back into the computer and carry on with your tracing right where you left off. It's a good spot to mention that you can configure the program to suit your needs. Under the Options and Setup buttons, you can configure the program like I did. For instance, with the line width, I've got 0.5, and also I selected a black line. Looks like a thread. A unique feature that's built into the program is that you can extend the control window to another device, like a cell phone or an iPad. This way you could have that control right beside you and you could select those buttons very quickly. So in other words, you could be controlling the trace, line, arc, curve fit, and the circle command from a device located right beside where you're using your cordless pen. I find the program easy to use and it's fast, and it has the ability to be saved in different formats, like I'm using the DXF format, but you can also save it in PolyDXF, SVG, or PDF formats. We're getting close here now to finishing up with all the tracing of the guitar profile. So the next step now is to save my final copy, my final DXF copy, and then I'm going to load that file into the CO2 laser software, run it through the simulator, see how it's going to look, and see how long it's going to take to do the engrave. Here I've run the file through the laser software to see how much time it's going to take. The engrave is going to take over 1 hour. I set up a deep engrave at 300 dpi because I want the engrave deep enough that I can apply a filler paint, black paint. I also forgot to mention the material I'm using. It's live edge, bird's eye maple, and it's also spalded maple. It's got a very nice grain pattern and it's going to show up with a natural finish. I'm going to be using a low power cut here just to highlight the engrave. Makes it look like a black outline. Shown here, I've sealed the project and I've applied 2 coats of black paint to fill in where it's been engraved. Once it's dry, I'll sand it and remove that excess black paint. Then I'll give it a final finish sanding and apply 4 coats of clear lacquer. The guitar profile looks good on that live edge bird's eye maple.